right, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. How are we all doing today? Good, excellent. We have Bruce Jones with us. He is our Artist of the Month for our Nook for July, and he does watercolor, as you can see. He is an amazing artist. So enjoy his presentation, and if you'd like to purchase a book, we keep them at the desk, and they're $20 a piece. And you may even get Bruce to, do his little signature in there, autograph. And Bruce, thank you so much. We really appreciate
my pleasure.
you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And thank you to SCC TV too.
All right, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to thank you everybody for coming, and what I thought I would talk about is the trip that I did on Hadrian's Wall, a little bit about what Hadrian's Wall is, the gear that I have. I brought my pack so you can kind of see what I use, and then how I transitioned into the paintings. Because this trip I designed to have a book at the end of it. That was one of my purposes was. So I planned the trip to take photographs all the way along and to put together a book at the end of it. So, and I've actually created a couple books from it. So I'll talk about that and did a photo book. So, all right. So Hadrian's Wall. I'll swing over here just so you can kind of see it. So if you're not familiar with it, Hadrian's Wall was a wall built by Emperor Hadrian in 122, 122 AD. So it was the top of the Roman Empire. And it ran from basically Newcastle in England to Bowness on Solway, which is near Carlisle in England. So it ran across. It was a border. It was sort of a border wall. It's the top of the Roman Empire, but also it was to control trade of people going through it. So it was to keep the Scots, which they called the Picts, to keep them from coming in, and then also to help control trade. So this is a route. So what happened is that wall was built in 122 AD. It's 2,000 years old. Most of the wall is gone by this time. People took those stones away. It was built of 25 million stones that are about this big, something like that. And you can see them here. And most of the wall was built from Wallsend on this side of England all the way over to about here. And then they built basically a turf wall, and then a wooden wall, and then eventually stone. But most of this is gone now. It was taken for built churches and roads and houses. It's just like having your Home Depot rock pile sitting there, and people just took it. In the 17th century, or 1700s, there was a guy who decided we should keep this, and he started to buy up property along the side of it and tried to protect it. And then the National Trust came in and bought it. So these are just pictures that I took along the way. The wall is basically a wall. It was about 15 feet high, 15 to 20 feet high, like a giant ribbon that went across, 8 to 10 feet wide. So basically about something like this wide, and think 15 feet tall. So today, it's about this tall. You can see it. You can see this person walking there. That's what's sort of left of it. But it used to be probably up here somewhere. So it's really a pretty big, significant ribbon. And I just read today, I was reading this morning, that they actually think they whitewashed it. So it was white, which was just kind of like bizarre. You have this giant ribbon. But it was built by Emperor Hadrian. He started it. It took 6 years to build it. 25 million blocks. They used the Roman army to build it. You're kind of just amazed when you're there because it's way up on the ridges and the bluffs. This is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. This is one of the forts. There are 8 or 10 forts, and then these milestones that went in between the forts. But this is Vindelandia. It's a big fort that was built. There was 9 versions of this fort built on top of each other. And it's just me walking. Most of it now is like this in the middle part, which is right here is the part where all this kind of stuff is. And they also built these ditches called vallums on both sides. Big ditches. They put sticks and things. It's like like big thorny bushes and things to stop people from coming in and also going out. They kind of controlled the whole thing. So, and there's a road, military road, which is still here. The military way is still here. The highway goes across. You can just drive that road. So it's a whole system that went. Most of the road is, I'd say most of the wall is gone, but what's really amazing is this vallum runs the entire way. So you're kind of amazed, this big ditch that's 1,900 years old that runs across the whole country. So what I just show you what I So I'm wearing the clothes I wore, so you can see what I wore. So these are the pants I wore. I had 4 of these shirts, these quick dry kind of shirts. The way I did this trip is I used a company called Max Adventure, who sort of sets everything up for you. They set up all the bed and breakfast. I did it in 9 days. So it's 84 miles. My watch and phone said I walked 166 miles, so it's up and down. Sometimes you're going down to hotels, you have to walk down to the valley because it's up on the ridges. They moved my big pack every day, so I didn't have to do anything. But I had a day pack. So this is the day pack that I used. Carried 2 liters of water. You can see that. Let's see here. Oops, this one. And I carried pack cover. I carried a light in case it got dark. I carried toilet paper and a scoop, so just in case. You know, you never know.
This was during the summer?
This is just September. Yeah, last September.
So what was the temperature?
Probably 50 to 60 degrees. It wasn't too bad. And I was really lucky. I only had 1 rainy day. Minimal rain. Other people, you're soaked. So for rain, you have a rain jacket and you have rain pants. So I carried this is everything that I'm carrying in my pack. Sort of a cloth to wipe off sweat. A bug net, which I didn't need, but you can. Midgie, especially if you go up into Scotland, this is like really important. Carried safety gear, first aid kit, compass, and my lunch would go in here. So I take whatever I'm going to eat. I always have enough food to kind of be out there.
What did you use for a camera?
My phone.
Just your phone?
Yeah, my phone. I just used, this is all of that.
Beautiful.
On my phone, I also had the phone, I had Google Maps, I had GPX files, which are GPS files, kind of like Google Maps, but they're individual for each section. So those, I carried those. I have a guidebook. This is the book that everybody uses. So this is a book of maps that kind of go along. And you see everybody walking like this. Where do I, okay. And then you also have this one. This was cool. So the Max Adventure sends you like a kit of stuff. So they send this book, they send this map, which is a waterproof map, and you can see I pre-marked where I was going to go. So at nighttime I would look at this and kind of figure what I'm going to do.
So where did you sleep?
Bed and breakfast. So yeah, just nice hotels or bed and breakfast. So it worked.
Did you pass a lot of people or?
There's a lot of people going both ways. Yeah, and one of the things you do is you end up sort of hooking up with people. You sort of meet. So like these 2 guys right here, Rob and Kelvin, I met them like the second day and we hiked for like 3 days together. And you'd have dinner with them, and they went a little faster than I did, so we'd meet up at nighttime. There's another picture of them there.
Who did these pictures?
Me.
You painted?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna.
That's like
Talk to
you
the
already
book.
said the month.
Oh my God, see, I was 2 minutes late, so.
Yeah, then we created the book. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But I just kind of give you the.
Yeah.
And then you also get, and this is just fun. Some people call this the 80-mile scavenger hunt. Other people call it the 80-mile pub crawl. But you get this little passport thing, and you have to find these little places and get your little rubber stamp. And so it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
It's just an adventure. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
And then I also carry poles. So I'm a big one on hiking with poles. So, so these just,
And why is that?
they give you support, stability, and you're gonna have a lot of hills.
Okay.
So what I would do, and you get really tired, and this reduces fatigue by about 85% on your legs, because you move it to your arms,
Okay.
and you can pull yourself up a hill. But also if you're going down a hill, I would walk like a really steep hill. I would swing these out, put them in the road,
Yeah.
or So you do both. I mean, and also you're walking in, like, so see the fields? You're walking in real fields, real pastures, which aren't like the lawn. There's lots of divots and holes and things. So you're never really sure where you're putting your feet.
No support,
So
yeah.
this keeps you from, you go, oh, I just almost twisted my ankle. Like
Right.
you know when you
Right,
almost
yeah.
did it because you catch yourself, and it's
Yeah.
it makes a real difference. So I use those a lot. Stability, fatigue. You know, you're often doing this. Why am I doing this? You're just hanging there. This is just so they're really. I probably half the people use them. I'm a huge fan of them. I think they're really great. So the goal, one of my goals was to document the whole thing, to make a book out of it at the end of it. So I painted. So I did a couple things. One was to take pictures all the way along, and then the second thing was to do some sort of sketches. And so this was the notebook I carried in my pocket, and then this was the notebook I carried in my day pack. And at nighttime, I would journal a little bit about what I had seen and done. And this was my kit that I carried. So I did carry markers. I wouldn't bother with the markers again. I didn't really use them. I used them a couple times. But this was my watercolor kit. So I just have one of these small little Winsor Newton paint kits.
Wow.
So you were painting as you went?
I'm painting as I went. I painted every single day. And I'll show you a little thing that a friend of mine had me do. This is a collapsible, oops. This is a collapsible water can.
Yeah.
So you can kind of do that. Carried my pencils, a pen, and a couple brushes. And that was my basic stuff. So a friend of mine had suggested to me, we were talking about the trip, the night before the trip, I had dinner with him in London, and he said, why don't you try painting like other artists? Pick a series of artists and try to paint like they do. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I made a list of artists. So Turner, Picasso, Jasper John, just picked a bunch of names. I would look them up, like here, where I would just look them up, write down things about them, and then I would do paintings. This is my Andy Warhol painting. And this is my Pablo Picasso painting of the sheep. So I would give me something to kind of think about. I had, as I walked through the day, I had, like, here's Georgia O'Keeffe, and I wrote down, I just went on Google, wrote it down, and then that just gave me a sort of a project. And I did that for 6 days. After 6 days, I'm like, I've had enough of this. But it worked really well. And then the second thing I did, and some of you know me from social media, I do a lot of social media, I took pictures of everything and posted all of this stuff. And there's some very good Facebook groups. So this is what the Hadrian's Wall group, I posted in the group what I was doing, and the little sketches and the paintings. And as I started to walk across England, people would recognize me, and they'd go, you're the painting guy. You're the painting guy. Just random people on the trail. They go, you're the guy that's doing the painting, because everybody's in the same group watching, like, what do I want to learn? And as I got near the end, some of the B&B owners would go. Like, one of these is, where's it? It's over, I think it's right by, yeah, it's right here by the, see where it says the,
It's right by
this
John.
one. Yeah, right, yeah, Scottish Arms, right there. Yep, nope, down one.
Down
Oh, over to the right.
this one here?
Yeah, right to the, right in the middle.
There.
Yeah, so that's one of the B&Bs I stayed in. That person knew exactly who I was when I got there. Oh, you're the guy that's doing the paintings coming across. So I did one of their, so it was kind of fun to do it, and it gave me a good lesson about social media. You can be really focused. If you're in a small group and you focus on it, people will really notice it. So that's what I did, kind of working my way across. The other trick that I did a previous trip earlier in the year in Portugal. I walked down the west coast of Portugal. And a person there had a really great trick. On every day, I'm just gonna show you, because it's like the best thing I've ever learned in organizing your photos. Write the day you're doing, take a picture of this that morning. This is your day. You know how when you just scroll through millions of photos, you can't find anything?
Yeah.
Day 4, click. You now know what day you're on. It's like, I was like, what a great thing to do. So I did that every day. But it was fun just to do this. And so every night, this is what I would kind of do at nighttime. And that's what's on this poster. So these are the pictures I did while I was walking, either sitting down, just taking a break, or at nighttime, sitting in my room. I would do.
How long have you been painting?
I've been painting most of my life, but more focused in the last few years, because it's just I'm a graphic designer, so that's kind of what I do anyways. But I just kind of do it. I like doing these sort of book projects, these sort of beginning to the end kind of a thing. So that's this book. You can see there's the original picture, and just day 9. I just wrote down.
What's that one?
This is the end.
Oh, that's the.
When we get to the end, there's a little hut at the end that's like beginning or end. It says, you can be either way, because people go both ways. You can just take the picture and say, oh, I did it. And I was like, I did it. So that's the. So then when I came back, so that was during the trip. I did all of that. When I came back, then I said, okay, now I need to start this project. And before I get to it, I just went to Shutterfly and I just uploaded the photos, but it also helped me organize the photos and figure out kind of what I want to do. And I just put together these in Shutterfly. So anybody can do this with your pictures, it's
How long
great.
did it take you to do that?
Probably a month, I think so, because I have a lot and it took me a while to organize it.
Yeah, you got order and I see the text.
I wrote the text. So this is a trick I've learned from other trips, is put your text in your social media. When you're writing your posts, like your blog post or your Facebook post, your Instagram post, that's the text you're going to use for your book. So do it there, because it's fresh, you've got the excitement, and you can kind of just write it. And then when you come to make the book, you just go and copy the text. You've written most of it already. You don't have to sit back. What did I?
You can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what
capture them
You
all.
can't capture the moment, but you can capture it that night. So that's a great way to do it. So that helped me organize. And then
Shutterfly, that's nice.
Shutterfly, yeah, there's a bunch of them, but Shutterfly seems to have,
Yeah.
they have nice templates, and you just do it online, and the quality is,
So you could do that with anything. Oh,
Yeah, I've used them too, they're great.
yeah,
I mean, I've heard of Shutterfly, just
Yeah.
never used it.
there's a lot of them, but, it was a nice way to kind of organize everything, and they did a great job of doing it.
Yeah.
So then I wanted to start this project, and I sat down, and I really fast sketched out the book. So I did this, then I kind of printed out pictures. Okay, these are the pictures I'm going to do. These are the ones that are going to be these are my main pictures. So I just printed them at Staples. And then I sat down, and I did them like this. And maybe I did 12 of them in one shot. I mean, I did them really fast. Just scribbled them down. And I did the whole book, basically storyboarded the book. And I got done with this, so you can see it's the same pictures. Right? I got done with it, and I went, if I just slowed down a little bit and made them a little bigger, I'd be done. They were okay. I love the energy of them. I like what they look, but they were like, I just wanted a little more. And so I just was like, I'm gonna have to do this all over again, the whole thing. So I kind of angst about that for a bit. And then, which way am I going to do them? So these are pencil and watercolor. But I like also pen and ink and watercolor. So I started to do some tests of just which way am I going to go. And I struggle with doing me. So that took a while to do it and like composite things together. But these are just test images that I just tried different things to see which way do I want to, because I'm going to spend a lot of time doing it. I don't want to go down the path and be like wrong. So you can see these are all in pen and ink. There's my boots. There's that. And then I decided, you know, I really like the pencil ones. So I'm going to do the pencil and paint. That just, to me, was just, again, it was more responsive, and I just liked the look of it, and I don't know. So then I just started, basically, and I took each of these pictures and just started painting. Basically started at the beginning, and I struggled with me. I couldn't get what I looked like and where I wanted to put the face and stuff like that. So I decided to kind of just start a few in. Said, I'll come back to me, but I'll be much better when I get to here, so I'll come back when I get to that point. So I started in the middle. I started at the beginning, so where the bridge is there, and I did the map. So you can see the map up at the top of the route. And then I just started working along. Just kind of one after the other. Sketch them out. I could probably do, I could draw them out probably 3 or 4 at one time, and then I would paint them. And my goal was not to try to be perfect. I could angst over it, and I could try to make a perfect painting, or I could just do them. So to keep this energy a little bit more, but a little better. And plus there's going to be a mass of them, so they're all going to have a consistent look. So that was the goal too. It's like I don't need to be, I can be whatever it's going to be because they're all going to be consistent. So I just kind of, you can see, I just kind of worked my way along. And so there's like the bridge on the River Tyne, at the top there, and then what you do on Hadrian's Wall, a lot of people, if you start in Newcastle, the trail actually starts at Wallsend, which is about 5 miles down the road. So you get there the day early, you walk down to Wallsend, and then you go there, and then you come back to Newcastle. You go this way to go that way. Then you kind of walk across. And you go through a lot of those are called kissing gates. So I guess at some point in time, people used to meet there, but they say, don't go through the gate, but the couple would stand there and kiss it. You go by a lot of animals. Just with my pack. This is called a stile, and you'll see there's several of them in here. So these are all active farming pastures, and these walls are probably about this high. So you have to go over tons of them. So sometimes there's stones coming out. Sometimes it's a ladder. You'll see there's a ladder right down there by Bob. I think down there there's one. There's different kinds. Oh, here's a ladder right here. So sometimes you're going over by ladder. Sometimes you're going over by stones. You're up on the fields. This one, so I remember I said I had this map book, and I had this map book, and I had all these maps, and I still got lost. I got lost probably 3 or 4 times because I just didn't trust what was in front of me, even though the sign says go that way. And you're like, I can't be right. I just can't didn't make it right.
So you went the other way, right?
I went the other way. So this one was, there was a section of the trail, probably a couple miles long, where like a derecho, you know what a derecho is? Like a huge wind shear came through and knocked all the trees over on the trail. And so I had to go over giant trees and around trees and under trees and over trees and stuff like that. They hadn't cleared the trail because it's long. There's probably almost 2 miles of that. And the detour went around it. I didn't go that way. I went the other way. And then you just kind of walk along. You kind of, a lot of stone walls. You see that? I love the stone walls. This, right here, these ones, this is, if you ever go on this trip and you really didn't want to do the whole thing, you could just go to the middle section, right here, once brewed. Right in here is where all the good stuff is. And this is a museum called Vindelandia, and it's one of the Roman forts that they built 9 times. They built it, knocked it down, built it, knocked it down. And everything is preserved because of the soil that's there, but they also put clay between each of the layers. And there are these things called it's only this location, the whole Roman Empire, they found these things called the Vindelandia tablets. And there are these little cards, these little pieces of wood that they wrote messages on. And you think texting Roman style. They'd had 1,400 of these. It's things like, I'm coming for, when you come for dinner, bring beer. Can you take Susie to the thing? It's like that. That's what's written on them. They're just the messages that they just took from one place to another place. You realize that's how they communicated. It was like, they had probably runners, and they said, Claudius, take this over to so-and-so. And they're wood, and so they deteriorated everywhere except for here. So there's like 4,500 shoes. There's a big community that was there next to the fort. And it's a fascinating place to go. And it's within a couple miles of the Roman Army Museum, so you do both of them. And it just really is worth going there. They're doing active archaeology is going on there. So that was that. All these towers. This guy had an interesting philosophy of hiking. He has two things. One is hike your own hike. So don't let somebody else determine what you're going to do. Just do your thing. Hike your own hike, which was a really, really good philosophy. Because you can get caught up with somebody else and you're going too fast or slow. And then he also had another way of walking is he never stops. So I would stop, I'd be tired. He will stop, he'll never stop, he'll just do this. And then you kind of get rested and you get going a little more, and then you're back on going again. So
Why was that? Because if he stopped, you would completely stop?
he kind of completely stopped, I think. He
So he
would just keep moving. So always moving forward.
Okay.
And I stopped. But,
Was it hard to get going again?
no, you just take a rest. But what I did, the other piece of gear that I have is this watch. So this is the Garmin watch that tracks your steps. A lot of people use these, runners use them and things. I use it for the heart rate. So I monitor my heart rate because it tells me the speed I'm going because I walk too fast. I notice I walk too fast. I don't know what to judge it on. So it has a heart meter right here on the watch. So I run between 96 and 107 beats per minute when I'm hiking. As long as I stay in that range, I'm going to be healthy. I'm not going to wear out. If I get up to like 117 or 130, you're like, okay, you're going to wear out. So slow down. You just slow down, but you don't know what to measure against. So you use a watch to do that. So that really helps a lot. And then everything else is just that the castle there everything is really old. It's like from the 1300s. This is Carlisle Castle. There's castles everywhere. And this is where, what should we call it? What his Edward maybe was in that castle. And then you kind of come out onto Bowness on Solway, which is near the end. And it goes out flat. This is Scotland over here. And you go out near the end. This is the little, remember that I mentioned about the little cabin, little structure at the end that says welcome, You start there and there. And that's fun. So then I created all of these, and then those were all put into a book. And I created the book. So this is done through KDP at Amazon, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. It's a division of Amazon. And these are print-on-demand books. So you create an interior file, and you create a cover file, and you upload it to KDP, which is an Amazon company, and then it gets put up on Amazon, and then people can buy it. And so anytime anybody orders a copy, they make a copy and ship it. Or you can make an ebook copy out of it. So you can make an ebook out of it. So I've done lots of books using this method because there's no cost to me other than the making of it, but there's no inventory, there's no shipping, I don't have to do anything. It's just kind of goes along and makes a cool book. So it makes a great project. I think that's, I think that basically does it. Any questions? You can ask. Yeah.
Coast to coast is not Hadrian's Wall.
Right, coast to coast is lower down. Yeah, that's longer. So that's another trail. England is filled with these trails, these walking trails. So Hadrian's Wall is up here. So this is Scotland, this is England. Hadrian's Wall is here. Coast to coast is down here. Longer. It's I think it's 220 miles.
Okay.
I think. The one that I'm looking at doing next is the West Highland Way, which goes from Glasgow all the way up. Really, really popular. But England is filled with these walks. It's the Cotswolds is a famous one. There's ones in Wales. There's border ones around the bottom. It's just, England is really set up. No.
How about booties for the pubs? Did you carry booties? Did you have to carry booties still?
No, everybody's good. Some of the places make you take your shoes off because you're in active pastures, so
Right.
you're taking cow stuff and into all the pastures. But the pubs are okay. The B&Bs would make you take some, which is very odd. You feel very unnerved by it because this is like your primary piece of gear, and you're like, oh, I don't want to lose my shoes. I can't lose my shoes. So I would wear these. So these are the ones. These are the Merrills. A lot of people. These are Keens. A lot of people wear these. They're super popular. But I also carried a pair of lightweight Tevas with me. At nighttime, I take these off and put the Tevas on. So just to change the foot stuff. Then I had the special socks, the smart wool socks that I got at Eastern Mountain or anywhere like that. And a hat, a couple hats, and a fleece. Most of the time I just wore a fleece because you could take it off and tie it around your waist. So, and then I washed my clothes. So you bring 4 pairs of underwear. I brought 4 shirts. I probably could have done less. 4 socks, and you just I'm painting or washing clothes in the sink every night. So, and I learned how to do that. So that's you just have to travel light because you have to lug in all this stuff. So, and what's nice about these pants is they have zippers right here, so you can zip off the bottoms and you have shorts. So they're very versatile for doing that kind of a thing in your wallet pockets. They're tough. They work really, really well. So,
Dogs.
I didn't have any dog. Well, there's dog. People are walking with dogs, but you don't really run into dogs. There's mostly cows and sheep that are everywhere, and so I never really worried about the dogs too much. One of the things that bothered me at the beginning was all these guys would walk by me and they'd go, "Are you doing all right?" And I'd walk and I go, and they go, "You doing all right?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Are you doing all right?" And after a while I was going, "Is something wrong? Is there something wrong? Like, am I like really red and I don't know it? Do I look horrible? Is there like blood coming out?" And then I realized, I talked to somebody, what is it with all these guys that would say, "You doing all right?" They go, "That's like going, yeah, what's up? Hey." That's all. They said if you actually explained it and said something to them, they probably would go, "Wait, no, I don't." The other thing I did that really made a difference is on the walk I did in Portugal, which was hotter. I was in May. I didn't manage my hydration as well. This trip I managed my hydration way better, and so I had some cramping issues on that trip. So. This is the amount of water. I would try to drink 2 liters of water. Water was easy to get. It's given by pubs and gas stations and stuff like that. But I also drank like a Gatorade. So they had a version of Gatorade. So just keeping those electrolytes balanced, and I had no trouble at all. But I was just conscious if I was by a gas station or a small convenience store, I'd go in and get a bottle. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's just a blue bottle. It's the same as Gatorade, and just drink that down. Trying to keep really conscious of your electrolytes and your balance and keeping all that stuff. So that's the.
How many hours a day did you walk?
I walked. I'd usually start at 9 o'clock, and I would walk to about 5. So I'd take lunch break and probably walked 9. Let's see. Well, if you just divide 84 miles by 9, it's you get 81. But I probably walked 12 to 15 miles. Some days I walked 20, depending on where I ended up. It wasn't until later when I started. I recorded everything I did every day, my mileage, all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, why am I walking? Why are my feet hurting so much? Because I was just walking 20 miles as opposed to 12 that I thought I was walking. By the end, when I got to there, I was like, every bench. There aren't very many benches, but there are benches there, maybe because everybody's burnt out by that time. And I can sit and rest. But it's like, you gotta get to the end. You can't stop here. You gotta get to there. And they have signs you got 4 miles to go, 3 miles to go, so I know you're getting there. I would just rest my feet and then go time walking. You try to walk on the grass as opposed to the dirt, the roads. So if there's grass, you walk on grass. So you can see it, there's like a little trail beside all rows with the grass.
Why was that?
Way softer on your feet. Yeah, way softer on your feet. Everybody's super nice, meet lots of nice people. Lots of people our age, like, between 60 and 75. There's a lot of people walking it. As I said, I did mine in 9 days. I think that was good for my age and pacing. The people I saw doing the 6 days, they seemed really burnt by the end.
So you had to decide before you set out how many days you were.
Yeah, so people walk this in, there's like 3 different ways people do it. People do it the way I did it. So they get a company, Hill Walker I think is one, and I use Max Adventure. They just set it up, you pick the date, do it. People camp it also. So you can camp it, free camping. Some of it's legal, some of it's illegal, but you can do it. And then other people just set up like I did, but they do all the setup themselves. In the research, sort of getting ready for the trip and preparing, I was like, that was beyond me, because I didn't know what the names of any of these towns were. It's like, you're just like, I have no idea what this is. So it was so much easier. They did a good job. You get a little tag like this, goes on your luggage, and it just tells the guy comes. So you lose your pack at 9 o'clock. They take it away, and then it'll be there by 5. And if you're not to your place by 7, then they start to look for you. So there's somebody that goes, okay, you're like
That's good.
Yeah, you have to contact them. So they kind of watch and see if something didn't happen. I met people who I had one blister issue, and I was able to use moleskin and put that around my feet. So my feet did really well. I met other people who just were pretty bad. They didn't manage their shoes and their blisters, and they really hurt. It's really painful. So I don't think of anything else that's really.
Did you use an ordnance map as well?
I used where's the one? Where's that other one? The one that's closest is the this is pretty good. So this book, and this book there's a whole chain of these books on different trails. So this sort of describes down to a lot of detail with descriptions, and it works both ways. So you can go, this is an arrow going this way and an arrow going that way. So you can go either way with the book. And then this is I had this map, which is pretty good. And one of them, what I discovered, here's a good example. This is a decision I made halfway through the trip. So this is the trail up here, but my lodging was down here. And this was like 2 miles like that, right? Then I'm gonna have to walk back up. And what I made a decision was never go backwards. Never go backwards. So I'm gonna blow that off, let that go, and I walked this way. And said, I've seen most of it, so I missed a piece, who cares? The other decision I should have made earlier is taxis are okay.
What was that?
Taxis are okay.
Oh.
You can take a taxi back up to here. You don't have to walk 3 hours back up to get to the trail and wear yourself out. It's just me and my pack. There are no trail police. Nobody cares. You've done it. You did it.
So that doesn't show topographical.
No, but
That would be put you off, probably.
actually, it's right. I think it's actually in here. It might be in here. Definitely it's somewhere.
So all told, do you know your elevation and
I don't think much went over 400 feet.
across the whole thing?
Yeah, England isn't very high.
Pretty.
It may be a little higher, but it's not particularly high. It can be steep, but maybe it's a little higher than 400 feet. But it's not super high.
You didn't have any time for pub time.
Every night. Every night. You get enough.
So
Did you ever see a dog sitting at the pub?
No, no.
'Cause people did that.
Yeah, I know, they put them outside and then go in and have a drink. It's,
No, they put them in the bar.
Oh, they
On
put 'em in the
seat
bar.
right next to you.
oh,
Yeah.
no, I never had, no. I never did that. I did have a lot of English breakfast, which is the, the beans, the tomatoes, the
Oh.
sausage, it was just like pretty good, so it worked out really well. So,
Sounds like a great hut.
it was good, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, no, it worked out really well.
What's next?
I'm looking at the West Highland.
You said that.
Yeah, so that goes north and south of
You're
Scotland.
going up or down?
Up, go up. Most people go up. And then the Camino de Santiago's, which are in Portugal, because Portugal's so beautiful. Spain, well, there's actually 7 of them, which I didn't know. And some of them are in Portugal, and some are in Spain, and some are in France. They all end up in the same place. But
But you could start.
you can start, and there's shorter ones are in Portugal. There's like a 76-mile one that goes along the coast. The big 500-mile one is the big one, but there's a lot of shorter ones. So those are the two sort of floating around trying to figure out how to do this.
What did you do again, Shake?
Well, we're here, so I worked myself up to 3 to 4 miles a day. Is about what I needed. I kind of did the way people train for marathon. You never run the marathon, you just do half size. So I did 3 or 4 mile things. Occasionally I did some 10. We have great hills and trails here, so I would do the Paquonic Plain, and then I would do like through the Merritt. I would walk up and down and do those. I did the Crosstown, which is the new trail we've just opened from the Navy base that ends up in Old Mystic. So I did that trail. But basically I tried to stay at 3 or 4 miles. I didn't want to burn out. So that's what I did, knowing that once you're in shape enough to kind of do it, with occasional like a longer 10-mile thing. But I also started walking with pack to get used to the pack, making sure I was comfortable. I've used these for years, so. But that's basically it. I probably did that 2 months, something like that. Just kind of do it over that period of time. Not manic about it, but I definitely normally I try to walk 2 miles a day, and I just upped it to the 3 or 4. So Paquonic Plains is great because it's a half-mile loop, so you can do 2 every 2. You're doing a mile, and you just kind of crank it off, and then all of our other great trails that we have, which is pretty good. So yeah, that's it. So any other questions I can do it, but.
Now, are you going on these hikes by yourself, or do you go?
Yeah, I went solo. So the one in Portugal, I was supposed to go with somebody else, and that person had some medical issues that they had to cancel, and I decided I'm just going to go. Yeah. And it was just it was a lot of fun, and you meet people along the way, and that's set up the same way. It's like every 10 miles there's a little village, and you just set up a hotel. And then I got so excited from that trip, which was beautiful, it was along the coast. I said, I just want to go do another one. So I knew about this one, and I just started doing research and figured it out. And yeah, so now we know how to do it.
So every time you go, you learn something.
You learn
more
something
the
new,
next
like
time.
your hydration.
Yeah. You learn like.
You learn more stuff. Bring less clothes. You don't need to carry your own
Really
clothes.
need, yeah.
What'd you take for power bars?
I used I had them. There's 2. One of these little cubes. They're like gummy bears, but they're cubes. You can get them at blocks. It's called blocks.
Okay.
They work really well. They're like little. They're like about this big, and they're just like an energy caffeine thing. So I did that, and then I had I don't know what the tube. There's a tube. You can get them at like Dick's and other places that has these wafers. They're basically Gatorade in a wafer form. You just put it into water, and it. So I've used those. Those can be Gatorade, or those drinks are much nicer to drink than that stuff, but you just kind of push it down. Because you know the consequences is if you don't, you're going to have trouble. So, so that's basically what I did. And then I would always have peanut butter. I would get a small jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread. That was always in my bag, and some tangerines. And I always had those. And a lot of the B&Bs will give you a lunch, or you can buy a lunch. Sometimes it's really weird food, but I would take that. But the peanut butter, having a peanut butter sandwich can get you going a long way. So that was really probably the best power bar and the Gatorade. And I was also a block of cheddar cheese, because it doesn't really need refrigeration. It gets a little greasy, but it's okay. And some crackers. So that would always have that in my pack. And then I always try to make sure to get a good lunch, that kind of stuff. So that's basically with the food. And then nighttime, whatever you want. So yeah, that's stuff. Anything else? So that's the food. That's the here. And then the painting. That just gives you a good thing to do at night. I don't think I turned on a television in any room at any time. I just did this. So I also had the international plan on my phone, which is what I would recommend. So I have Verizon, and I bought the international plan. So it's like $10 a day, and that just gives you communication. It also gives you Google, easily get it, because England's really well set up. And also England is all tap now, so you make sure you have your wallet, your Apple Pay, your Google Pay, whatever you have on your phone, because you just go to places and you just do the tap, and it just pays. Because everything in England switched. Pretty much they don't want money. During COVID, they switched over to phones. So you might be, there's places that won't even take it, but this makes things so easy. You just tap. Like you can do at Dunkin' Donuts here and stuff. But it makes it just make sure you have that on your phone. So that was the
They don't lose your phone.
Don't lose your phone. Should we tell that story? No, we won't tell that story. Yeah, don't lose your phone.
First day.
First day. Not me, but yeah, don't lose your phone. This is super key because it's your camera and it's your phone. It's your communication.
Yeah.
I also used Booking.com, which I thought was really good. They really did a great job. They allow you to communicate through email, through the app. They have all the hotels at a lower price. They have all the bed and breakfasts, and a lot of that stuff is all in Booking. And I use them quite a bit. You just show up and go, Booking, where am I going to stay? And it's super convenient. So I
Do you give little workshops for people?
well, in the back of the book, I put most of what I'm talking about. A lot of the lessons I put here in the back of the book because I ended up talking about this stuff a lot. So I just wrote down. I wrote down like some of my key lessons, the gear I took, all that kind of the day pack, all that kind of stuff is in the back here. So I just kind of put it together. So. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And,